Hey everyone! In today's video, I'm going to be trying out some stuff I've been curious about for years, but I've just never tried. It's Castin Craft Resin Spray, and it's made by Environmental Technology. I ordered it from the Tap Plastics website on a whim when I was ordering my platinum silicone last time, and it cost $7.35, as you can see here. I've also seen it on Amazon and like Walmart.com and all those other kind of retailers, and the price varies kind of wildly. It's usually around like $8 to $11. This $7.35 price, so 35-cent price, is the cheapest I've seen so far. All right, I'll make sure to leave the links for all of that in the description area below. I honestly haven't tried it before because I don't generally glaze my pieces. I just use shiny molds, which result in a shiny resin piece popping out of said mold. The only time I do glaze my pieces is when I'm going to use them to make a mold. I'll make a piece and then just use that over and over to make my molds. And how I usually do that is I use clear spray paint. I'll take a matte or imperfect resin piece and I'll coat it with the clear spray paint and make it super shiny and then make the molds from it. And here's actually an example of that. This is just a succulent, and this is what it looks like straight out of the mold, very matte. I actually did a video in which I spray painted this piece. You can go back and check that out if you would like to see that in action. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to use the resin spray stuff on this matte piece, and I'm also going to do it on these as well. This is just a kind of shiny black piece. It has some imperfections. We're going to see how it covers it. And then I have this clear piece and it has just a little charm in it. So we're going to use the spray on that and see how clear that we can get it, and hopefully everything goes well. I'm excited. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and read the can and all the directions and stuff. I will say I feel like there's not a ton of info about it. I'm still confused about, like, is it a resin? Is it an acrylic spray? Is it an enamel? So on and so forth. I'll pull up like the website for it, the like official site, and that doesn't have much info either. But for now, we'll just kind of read the relevant stuff on the can. Okay, danger, extremely flammable. Hazardous contents, acetone, all kinds of other stuff. It sounds very similar to the spray paint I use. I don't know, but I'm sure all this stuff is in resin as well. Like I said, what is this? What even is this? Okay, it's just saying the vapor is harmful and don't deliberately inhale it. So this is interesting to me. Precautions. To avoid breathing vapors or spray mist, open windows and doors or use local exhaust ventilation. Don't spray this in the house. Don't spray any kind of aerosol like this in your house, like windows and doors open or not. Do what you want to do, but I would never do that. Okay, when used in restricted areas, wear a so on and so forth approved respiratory protection. Yeah, a respirator. If you work with resin and aerosols and all that, you probably want to use one anyways. If you are interested in getting one, this is mine. It is a half mask respirator with organic vapor cartridges. I'll leave the link for this in the description area below. All right, first aid, yada, yada, yada. That's all not terribly relevant to us. You can read that on your own if you try this. All right, surface preparation, or directions, surface preparation. Surface must be clean and dry, free of dust, dirt, and grease. Protect areas not to be sprayed. Pre-seal porous objects such as paper and fabric with some other stuff. Spraying instructions. Shake can for 1 full minute before using. Hold about 14 inches from the surface being sprayed. Press the spray head and keep the can in motion. Several thin coats are better than one thick coat. For best results, temperature of resin spray and surface should be at least 70 degrees. After spraying, turn the can upside down. Yeah, it's a lot like using spray paint. So the thing about this is the reviews are very, very divided. Some people seem to really love it and most people hate it. From what I've gathered, the spray and thin coats part, it's important. If you use a thick coat, it'll be like hazy and matte and it won't look good. At least that's what I've read. I will say that I think I have an advantage here because I've worked with aerosol paints for years. I'm used to using a spray can I have the hang of it pretty well. So I imagine if you don't have experience with aerosols, then things can get pretty dicey. You know what I mean? Like the product can come flying out of the can and you can be like, oh my God. So yeah, we're gonna see how this plays out. So this is what the actual site looks like. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Yeah, this is all the info. Resin spray is a fast-drying, clear gloss finish sealer, ideal for fixing small blemishes and cured resin pieces. It adds luster and shine. Use several light coats, not one thick one. Okay, it's ideal for sealing paints, inks. It's a great way to clean up cast resin pieces, which may have been lightly sanded, and is a fabulous top coat for polymer clay products. All right, well, cool. That's good to know. But yeah, that's all the info. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get our pieces situated and ready to take outside into the garage and test this stuff out. All right, so in my glazing with spray paint tutorial I mentioned earlier, I just set the pieces onto this little, it's just like a little $1 cooling rack from the dollar store, you know what I mean? I'd set them right on there and then spray on here, and while it does work well, what I noticed would happen was the paint would start to pull up along the little metal wires, you know, so I'd kind of be like doing this kind of thing to keep it from like settling and becoming part of the piece and all of that. So I've decided to I've started doing things a little bit differently. I can still use the rack, but now I just use pieces of cardboard. This was like a space heater box or whatever, you know what I mean? I take some pieces of cardboard and then I take some of this clay. I use this clay for making molds. I use it for a few things actually. It like consistently comes in handy, and this is just another use for it. It's just plastilina clay. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It was super cheap for a big chunk of it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of the clay, and I already have some that's like not on there, and kind of like roll a little snake or whatever. Actually, let me move that. All right. And then I'm just gonna put this chunk of clay right onto this little piece of cardboard. And then I'm gonna take my piece and I'm just gonna squish it right on there. And now I can move them around more. They're not making contact with any kind of wires on which the spray can settle. I have more control. I can move it around easier. So I'm gonna do that with my other pieces. I'm just gonna take some more clay. I'm gonna squash them right on there. It stays pretty well for sure. I don't recommend like flinging it around or anything, but like it will keep that seal pretty well actually. All right, so I'm gonna get the rest of these done and I'm gonna meet you outside and we're gonna be in the garage and we're gonna start spraying and I'm excited. All right, I'll see you in a little bit, bye. Okay, so I'm all set up outside. I shook this for about a minute like it said to. So I'm gonna start with the succulent. Okay, so as per the directions, I'm gonna do a light coat and I'm gonna leave it to dry for about 15 minutes. Now I'm gonna move on to the clear piece. And one thing I like to do when I glaze my pieces with spray paint is I'll take a cup and just cover it so no debris gets stuck in the wet paint. So I'm gonna do that and just put this aside, cover that up. All right, now I'm gonna move on to this random little disc that has my fingerprints all over it. We'll see how that covers. I apologize if you hear construction noises. They're building a house. I tried to do this on Saturday thinking they wouldn't be there, but they are there. All right, so now I'm gonna wait a few minutes, about 15, maybe 20, and then I'll come back and we'll do it again. Okay, so I moved back inside real quick so we could take a look at these pieces so far. So with these two, I've only done one layer, one coat. This one, I sprayed a second coat on real quick. So what I'm noticing right away is the pieces, or the piece rather, that was already pretty shiny. It's doing way better already. This one right here is really showing that haze that I saw a lot of the negative reviews talking about. But this one had that haze as well, and hitting it with that second coat actually really helped a lot. It still kind of has it on the sides, but I don't know. So I'm gonna spray them a few more times. Like, I'm gonna try and go for like 4 times total. I'm gonna do that off camera. You saw what I did. You have the basic idea. You take the can, hold it, you know, a distance away like it said, spray it lightly, turn it around, get all the sides and let it dry. Like, you understand how all that works. So I'm going to finish these off camera, and then I'm gonna come back, and I just wanna make sure that I focus on this as much as I can and get the best result I can, instead of focusing on the filming and then, you know, like not liking the product and being like, oh, it's trash. You know, I don't want to do that. I want to dedicate all of my attention to it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll be back in a little bit with the pieces fully coated and done, and we'll see what happens. So I will see you in a while. All right, so I ended up coating these 3 times instead of 4, and I think that they look pretty good. I'm not seeing the haziness that I saw some people were experiencing. This piece does look a little wonky, but that's really my doing. I sprayed some on there, and then I kind of like moved it around with a gloved finger to try and get it into some of those holes that were just already in the resin. But it's super shiny. It's definitely not hazy. So that one looks really good. The clear one looks really good too. It has a nice shine to it. And the succulent looks great. One thing I was curious about, and then I learned, I was curious about what would happen if you dropped it and then I dropped them. Like, I didn't mean to, but you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's definitely like some trauma where I dropped the pieces, where the finish actually did come off of it. So while I do think that these look good, I think that I would use it the same way that I use the clear spray paint. I would just take some pieces, glaze them real well, and then make molds with that, so I don't have to glaze any further pieces, and then that won't be an issue. But as far as the product doing what it says that it does, I mean, I would completely agree. It's a nice glossy finish. It was easy to use. You know, not as perfect as I would like, but nothing ever really is. It dried really quickly. It dried quicker than I thought it would. It didn't smell as bad as I thought it would either. So yeah, I mean, I think I would use this product again, just in the ways that I use it for glazing pieces to make molds with. And I'm sorry that I didn't show me glazing the pieces over and over again. If you'd like to see that, you can go and check out my tutorial I talked about where I glazed pieces with clear spray paint. So I guess that covers everything I wanted to cover. I'm happy with the results. I'm not having trouble with the haziness. Yeah. So I guess that's really all I have to say about all of that. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to email me. My contact info and like my Instagram and stuff like that are in the description area below. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned a lot. I know I certainly did, and I hope you have a great day.